All right, welcome back. Oh, foot cramp. All right, can't stand that way. All right, let's try it this way. All right, so welcome back. Previous video, we did the hot coat on the wooden surfboard. This video, we're going to install the leash plug and the vent plug. So, a couple things before we get into it. This should hopefully be a very short video. Leash plug, self-explanatory. You want a leash plug on this board. I'm installing it after the hot coat. Some leash plugs can be installed during the lamination process. I have one of those leash plugs here somewhere. I don't have it here, but the one I'm going to be installing is one like this, a very simple one. And I'm just going to install that. Now, I wanted to mention a few things about venting the surfboard. So inside this board is a big chamber, because it's one hollow chambered wooden surfboard. And at the rear, I've left a channel to a spot where I've left a little bit of wood. It still has a channel that runs to the end so that it connects it to the rest of the board. What that means is I can put one vent in and vent the whole board. The type of vent I'm using, this one's called Milvent. I found these on AliExpress. They're pretty cheap, pretty inexpensive. They work well. I've used them on other boards. They're not really meant for surfboards actually, but what I like about them is you can unscrew the vent so that it can vent just like that, so it's a manual vent, or inside there's a piece of, let me see if I can grab one here. Inside this piece is a plug like that. Inside this plug there's a piece of Gore-Tex, and that is a semi-permeable membrane that allows, I think it's semi-permeable membrane. I don't know, my biology class might escape me on this. But what the Gore-Tex will do is it'll allow venting of the surfboard automatically. To install this, this has a flange on it, and I'm gonna machine off that flange. If you have a vent like this, you could just sand it off. But since I have a lathe, I'm gonna overdo it and just machine off that lip. So that way I can install it, because if I try installing it like this, it is a little bit harder. You can do it, I've done it in the past, but I'm just going to simplify it. So, super important to vent your board. Now, I also have a plug, a leash plug like this. And this leash plug has a leash plug and vent all in one. And those are pretty handy as well. So, again, I got these from Greenlight Surf Supply, like I've mentioned in my previous video, where I get most, or if not all, of my surfboard building materials. Alrighty, so let's get to it. Right here, I know, is the channel that connects to the rest of the board. Wipe this down with some acetone. I want to take some of this plastic epoxy putty, I'm going to activate it by kneading it together. I'm going to cut a piece off. I'm going to wrap it around this, and then I'm going to seat it in here, so that way it creates a plug. And then once that's set, I can apply resin, like liquid resin, around the seam here. So that way it doesn't go down into the hollow part of the board. So what I've done here is I've drilled down with a Forstner bit so that this fits all the way down to the bottom. The same size as this. But then I routed out this outside piece. So that way I can have room to apply resin around this, but I'm going to create this barrier at the bottom. So I'll put this putty at the bottom, seat that down, scrunch it down real well, and then fill this with resin so that way the resin doesn't get down into the hollow part, into the channel. And that'll allow this vent for the air to come out through this hole here, through in the center. So that's kind of how you create that. So now I'll just let this set, and then we'll fill this with resin later. I've mixed up some resin, and now I'm just adding some Cabosil, which is this thickening agent for the epoxy. So that way it's a little thicker when I go to put the leash plug in. Alright, this is set up now. In the next video, we're going to sand these open when we sand the rest of the board, and we'll also sand open the fin boxes. So I'm going to call this video done, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Consider subscribing, and bye for now. The next video will be coming very soon.